me cook. Let me cook. Let me cook. Let me cook.
What's up, bro?
What's up? Had a great weekend. It's got that Florida summer weather talking to me. I know you got the same thing down in your neck of the
Yeah.
woods.
Yeah, it's coming back. It's coming back
Yes, sir. Really quick.
real quick.
Yeah, I'm already talking about a trip. There's a spring-fed river creek here in the area, Econfina, and there's two highways, and they're roughly 15, 20 miles apart ish.
Okay.
Well, you get about 6 to 12 inner tubes, and you tie them all together. You throw a cooler in one in the middle with food, a cooler in the other in the middle with beer, and everybody else, no kids allowed. Because if you can't fend for yourself, you don't need to be on this kind of trip.
Yeah.
You get in your tube and you float. If you see a spot or there's a spring that pops up, you want to stop and hang out, go swimming, whatever. Stop and grill some food, have lunch or whatever, and then you keep floating from one bridge, one highway to the next. It's literally a whole day trip, but dude, it's so much freaking fun, and you can get lost in the woods finding cool stuff.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. We've done it a few times, and I've been aching to do that. That and when my boys come, because as you know they live down in Tampa. I want to go out on a boat with them this summer and catch some fish.
Bro, I'm listening to you, but I'm also kind of paying attention to Twitter right now. Nah, right now Eric Bischoff is going back and forth on Twitter, bro, with Dax Harwood from FTR.
Ooh,
man, this shit's bro. They've been going back and forth all day, and it's just great right now.
and let me follow up with that by saying this: like Dax, I've heard his opinion on a lot of things in the past, and he's the kind of guy who I would agree with majority of the time. He's a really solid dude, straight up dude. So that makes me curious as to what he and Bischoff are going in about. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, man, it's just going back and forth, and I mean, I get it, bro. Eric Bischoff constantly stays trolling AEW and stuff like that, but I mean, man, to me, it didn't get any better than that.
No, and see, look, you don't have to be on a Monday, a Friday, or Thursday, or Wednesday, to get this.
Eric Bischoff is live 7 days a week. It doesn't matter if he's on his podcast or on his Twitter.
He's been that way for 25 years, 30 years?
35, 40 years, man. I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to believe, bro. It's hard to believe the Monday Night Wars were about 25 years ago.
It's like I look back, like me being 44. All right, let me say this. I am getting to that age to where I can legitimately say that for the first time in my life, I'm truly reminiscing because I'm thinking about things and I'm talking about them and I remember them like they're yesterday, dude. But then somebody points out that was in 1992 and I'm like, first off, but at the same time, like it's crazy how that works.
It is. Well, let's kind of go ahead and jump into it, man.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
We did the show Thursday and Friday. If you guys didn't catch it, didn't really see anything from it, NFL had their draft. I know you heard about that.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's talk about it, man. 32 teams went in, did their thing for 7 rounds to hoping to be their next step towards a Super Bowl. How do you think it went overall?
Honestly, there were a few teams that had a few question marks, in my opinion, on some of their picks. That wasn't a big portion of the league. I will honestly say, and now let me first off say this. As a fan of football, I believe this was probably the most interesting and fun drafts to watch in I can't remember how long.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was not only talking about it with the show, but like me keeping up with it on Saturday, and even Friday and even Thursday after the show ended. I'm like, I couldn't stop. I'd pick up my phone and I'd go to look at something and I'd go back and forth. But I was hooked. And for me, I believe teams like the Buccaneers improved their draft or their championship stock. I believe teams like the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't guarantee every rookie's going to work out, but I'll tell you, you're not going to always have bad luck. And let me say, they picked up some pretty solid college football players. So
I mean, talking about Kansas City, have you been hearing the talks about Buffalo giving them their pick? And the last time that happened, it led to Mahomes being drafted. That somebody secretly needs to talk to whoever's up there in Buffalo and figure after a KC fan. Might be why they can't get back in the Super Bowl.
There were honestly, and I'll say as an example, the Saints. The Saints, I don't really believe made a splash outside of their first pick. Their first pick was a solid pick. But outside of that, they really didn't, they could have been filling holes, but I believe that team is also in rebuild mode. Even with the quarterback that you paid, the money that you paid, and the one that you got. I
don't think New Orleans is in rebuild mode as much as it is in
restructure.
I almost want to say it's not
because to me, the system needs changing, not necessarily the personnel.
Well, see, and to me, they had, and bro, as Bucs fans know, they had one of the hardest teams in a way to beat when they had, when it was Drew Brees and Kamara and Mike Thomas, and
they could run the ball, they could stop the run, and their secondary would turn the ball over.
Yeah, bro, their defense was, I'm not gonna say elite, but their defense was something that you couldn't just sleep on.
As a divisional foe, that meant more regardless.
Yeah, and I was going to say, as a divisional opponent, man,
because you know them better.
Yeah, to us, it hit a little bit deeper. It hit a little bit more. It's like, when we play the Falcons or the Panthers.
Yeah, yeah.
But
now, to me,
I don't think New Orleans had a horrible draft. I've looked at their grade, and from what I'm seeing, it's B-.
Right.
I don't think it was that good, but I don't think
I'd give it a C-, C base.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would give it about a C. To me, you didn't have a great draft, but you didn't suck.
I actually saw somebody gave the Buccaneers a C, and I said, "What the what?"
Yeah, it was probably somebody that covers It's probably somebody that covers Kansas City, and they're still mad over 31-9.
It could have been a Bucs fan, honestly. Because you see some Bucs fans that really don't use their heads for a second.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
before they start typing.
Wait.
To me, I'll say this much.
You think
teams like the Eagles?
You think it was Joey putting numbers together?
I think the Eagles actually had a really good draft. Considering their offseason, and the skilled players that they lost going into the offseason this year, they really solidified some needs, which is what the Buccaneers as well did. To me, one of the most surprising teams that actually had a really good draft, and it could turn out to be a great draft, is the Atlanta Falcons. So they had a good draft. They really did, but the reason why I say great, and this is not necessarily a topic, but I told you I was going to just bring this up, and this is going to be my final thought on this. I've put a lot of thought. I've listened to so many concepts and so many ideas from so many people across all the platforms. the Falcons picking up Michael Penix, if you get a quarterback that comes off of a season-ending injury at 36, 39, what is it? In his 30s. Yeah, his age. Kirk Cousins.
Kirk
Kirk
Cousins,
Cousins,
what,
36.
36, something like that?
36 season-ending injury. You paid all this money for, you expect him for like 4 years. But let's just say things work out. We've seen things work out all over the NFL for many times. Let's just say in 2 years, right? Things go south for his health, or they both want to part ways. Maybe he wants to retire, right?
Okay.
Well, they're a 10 to 12 win team because that's what they're talking. That's how they're moving. And they were really right there last year if they'd had a quarterback, to be fair. If they'd had a quarterback, they'd have been dangerous last year. I believe they would have won the division. Now, that being said,
when it comes to that, I mean, I think it just had to go with horrible coaching all the way around.
that was a part of their problem too. A huge part of their problem. Let me say it that way. But what I'm saying is, if you go ahead and draft this guy, he doesn't immediately help you. But what he does is sit under, let's agree, a savvy vet that will that can take the time to teach this guy the ropes with his athleticism and skills. Look at the Green Bay Packers formula. Look at what they did with Jordan Love. Now, you put that in place in the Atlanta Falcons locker room, and in 2 years, potentially, you've got an immediate, lightning quick impact maker.
Yeah.
And that's if we all can agree that Michael Penix is and can be that guy.
See, and when it comes to that, like, I don't think Penix is that guy. I don't think he's not gonna be your long-term option because of the fact of it's his age. I mean, at this point, he's not to really, pick at it, but he is chasing these other quarterbacks when it comes to these contracts and stuff like that. Unless he can come, unless when he steps onto the field, he's making dynamic plays all the time and he can stay onto the field because, we'll be honest, 6 years in college, he was hurt a lot of the time for 4 of them.
Yeah.
His first 4 years, bro, screwed him up to where he was able to get another year eligibility, then another year.
Now,
So
let's say this right before the draft, I will note that from multiple different sources and platforms across the sports journalism genre, I also concluded that he was given a clean bill of health. After his pro date, that's when the news came out. And that's a very valuable point, but coming off of those injuries, the multiple injuries he had was his biggest question mark moving forward, in the transition to the NFL. So, honestly, though, I think the draft in a whole, brother, was fantastic. I believe a lot of teams really did well. This draft was loaded, and that's because, we got talent coming from the schools. These kids are getting really good from high school moving into college, and then they're really starting to learn the game in college. And if they get their head right when they get to the NFL, there's the sky's the limits.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how things really progress, with NIL deals continuing.
I love what the Rams did in the draft too.
Now, the team I think outside. Okay, now I got 2 NFC teams that I think had the best draft. One being Chicago, and of course, being the first overall, you're taking a quarterback after you pissed away, your last number 1 pick.
Using the first overall pick for the first time in your team's history. That was cool.
Well, let's call it what it is. That wasn't Chicago's pick.
It wasn't.
Chicago was using Carolina's pick because of that draft that included DJ Moore.
Yep. Which was a horrible trade, in my opinion.
Yeah, which makes you stop and wonder. Had Carolina not give up that pick,
Whoa, you're asking that question. Think about everything going on in the Panthers organization in the last 2 years.
No. Trust me, I get that. But had you not given up that pick, not saying Bryce Young's a horrible quarterback,
Right.
but you
He
wouldn't
needs
have
help.
you wouldn't have had to trade it back into the first round at pick 32 to go get your wide receiver like they did with Xavier. What was it?
Xavier
Leggett. I brain farted the last name. But they had to trade back. We'll talk about that because it went from Kansas City to Buffalo to then going to Carolina.
Yep.
So that pick was already, already been slutted out a little bit for them to push. So that to me, and again, like you said, with what's going on in the Carolina organization, it is a complete shit show.
Did you hear about the recent news about Tampa and the restaurant or the bar?
Yeah. We were talking about that during the draft show.
That's right.
That he had gone in and he complained to the restaurant because of the sign, and he couldn't really complain because the owner of the restaurant wasn't there.
That was crazy.
We're gonna, and the other team that I think had a hell of a draft, bro, was Arizona.
Arizona
is going. I think Arizona's putting that. I can't say they put the NFC West on notice because San Fran's got that shit on lock. But I think with drafting Marvin Harrison, bro, that definitely that automatically changes that franchise because it's that you got your Larry Fitzgerald again. You got that. I mean, hell, bro, you got Marvin Harrison.
How many more years do you have Kyler Murray?
Yeah, and you got Kyler Murray for. Bro, we'll talk about it. Kyler Murray, unless he completely just comes out and sucks, he's going to be that franchise for a minute.
You just got to put the pieces around the guy.
And that's what I'm saying. I think they did.
And to me, that system that Kingsbury had in Arizona was trash.
It's the same thing that Chip Kelly had when he was in Philly. It worked for a minute and then it went away.
And nobody thinks about that, but like the speed right now. Like, remember the combine? Somebody broke 4.21 retarded speed.
Yeah.
Like Tyreek who?
Moving on from all 32 teams to covering the team that we tend to cover best. The Bucks got a B+ for their draft, and this is according to Yahoo Sports. I've also looked around, at other sources, ESPN, CBS. They all seem to kind of be right in the middle for this. So, do you agree with it?
Looking at our team and what we needed from a perspective of value, from my opinion, we nailed the first overall pick. We got a tackle, right? We got a versatile lineman. That's what we got. We didn't get a tackle. We got a guy that can play tackle. We got a guy that can play center. We got a guy that can play guard. But he is likely going to be the center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that being said, the one thing that I looked at on this draft that I like, Klein. I don't think it's a bad pick. I just don't know a damn thing about the guy. So, like, from that perspective, we hit a lot of people question the wide receiver pick. You could have went cornerback. But do you know what that tells you? If they did go wide receiver instead of cornerback like they did in the draft, the guys in the building right now, they buy into. So trust the process, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow these guys to do a good job. Allow them to do their job, because Our defense has problems, but year in and year out over the last few years under this regime of defensive fundamentals with Todd Bowles, all the way back to how long has he been with us? Since Bruce Arians started, 5 years, you know? So like trust this guy. I buy into Bowles as a defensive guy. I don't even want to talk about his defense. He's gonna get it right. You just might have to give him a little time, and it takes time to do this. So from that perspective, and then you get the wide receiver that comes in and replaces potentially, keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Godwin. But right now, what he does is replace Russell Gage. Okay? So, but I believe he's got the athleticism to replace Godwin, which is, I believe, in the near future for the Buccaneers going over the next year to 18 months. I believe that Bucky Irving, no matter whether Rachaad White is pissed off or not, I hope he is, because the last time somebody pissed him off, what did he do? He almost rushed for 1,000 yards the following season. Okay? He come out and back what he set up in the offseason. Remember, we had a conversation on the Plunder. I'm going to plug the show. The Plunder, check it out. It's coming starting June. Back for a weekly episode. But we talked about it then. You know, he was angry and agitated about how people had talked about him in his game and everything, blah, 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 blah. He just wanted the ball. So he comes into the season, he makes some promises. He comes into the season, and I believe he fulfilled those promises. I believe he earned his spot as a 3-down back if you use him right. So that being said, Bucky Irving coming in is great. You can't go wrong with 2 good backs. That being said, I think the guy's a good ball player. So all in all, for the first few rounds, and then those last few rounds are guys that's going to probably end up on the practice squad, special teams, on depth, and really use that time to develop, but be able to still help the team produce wins. I believe the Buccaneers definitely deserve to B+.
Yeah, and you know, I was going through it over the weekend, just kind of looking at it. I've talked to a few people that were at the draft, you know, fans around. Here's what I was able to do with my conclusion. Our top pick was our first round 26 selection, center Graham Barton. You hit the nail on the head, man. This man can play the entire offensive line. A lot of people were expecting us to go Jackson Powers Johnson. I know we had both talked about it even during the show that you could have gone with either one. This one, though, is more of a
he was the most versatile lineman that went in the first round, period.
And he was. So I think this is what now, and I've looked at his scouting. When you put him outside, which I highly, highly doubt we will do. So
I believe Godeke and Wirfs are going to stay outside.
Well, hopefully Gedeke's outside side of it would be sideline, but we'll go there later. But when you have this guy on the outside, his arms just it's like fucking fighting Dante Fowler with a T-Rex.
Yeah,
you got the dude that could stop him. He just ain't got the arms to reach him. But and they even said you put him on the inside with that type of base, the dude has been solid. And we had talked about it. In 40 plus years, there'd only been what was it, 600?
The 691 was the total amount.
691 total centers have entered the NFL draft, and he was rated top.
Number 1.
So I'm gonna
10
be
out of 10.
I'm gonna be
perfect rating.
Like this dude right here is going to be fun to watch, and I can't wait. My biggest question mark is, as an Alabama fan, I know Chris Braswell as a player. My biggest question is, can he fit into our rotation in the pass rush? The dude's got a high motor. I love the pick because of what he can bring to the table. I am questioning just, can he fit into that rotation?
I don't believe he's an immediate impact starter or player.
He's not going to be a starter. I think he kind of fills in the way Joe Tryon did in the beginning. I'm just hoping for more production. compared to what we were getting with Tryon and even Logan Hall.
Look, and maybe he seconds. He can second. I mean, he's got the build and the physique to back up and become an outside linebacker.
Well,
that's necessarily an outside linebacker is not necessarily a position we can't take the extra help in.
Well, and that's kind of where he excels most. You know, if you look at tape of him, very rarely is he down in a 3.
Okay.
You normally have him coming off of the outside, just standing up.
Right.
The dude, you could put him at outside linebacker. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. And we talked about it. This is where I do believe we were cleaning up from where we let go of Shaq.
Yeah.
We went younger with the same type of opportunity for that production. So it's just gonna be interesting to see, can that produce.
Right.
Now, the player that I got that is going to have the highest ceiling for us, we had just talked about it, is running back Bucky Irving. I am not
watch the tape is all I got to say about this guy.
Well,
watch the tape if you haven't.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
I love it. I love the pick.
Rashad White ain't got a reason to be upset, because where Rashad White can be the 3-down back, this is that guy that can get us to that. I mean, I do believe
he gets the first downs on third and short. He's a goal line back. He's a power back.
Yeah, he can get us that little extra kick. You know, this is a guy that I do believe has the highest ceiling for us. I'm
absolutely
excited. I like the pick. You know, regardless of what Rashad White did, this doesn't keep Rashad from getting his 1,000 yards. And if we really want to get technical, he hardly got the 1,000 on the ground. He's better at getting 1,000 in all-purpose. So if he wants to be upset, it shouldn't be about the ground and pound. It takes away from his all-purpose. That being said, now that the draft is over, it's done. Hard Rock's put up betting, and we can talk about it because we're not players. We have nothing to do with the game. We're just a bunch of bums.
Right.
So, we're going to go over some things. I want to hear your opinion. The odds have updated for the Super Bowl. San Fran is now favored over Kansas City, as to where the Bucs are damn near at the bottom of the pack. First, do you agree with basically what is being slated as the Super Bowl as a repeat between San Fran and Kansas City?
I'm going to go with no. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think San Francisco, I go ahead and say it. San Francisco is probably going to look on paper and on TV and in the stadium as the best team in the NFC next season, every game, you know, win or lose. That's my opinion on that particular team. I think they have a foundation and it's not going anywhere for the next few years. And they've added some good pieces in the draft. So that being said, I really can't see the sustainability of getting to the Super Bowl like the Kansas City Chiefs do every single year. You're going to eventually not. They've literally won it the last two. Do I think they're highly to win it? Yes. But that being said, I actually have, you can call me a schmo if you want, I got the Buccaneers going to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to say they're going to win it. I've got the Buccaneers going to the Super Bowl. I believe last year gave us confidence. I believe the continuity, because of the foundation of the players that we have going into this season, are 90% of the guys that we had last season, which is how teams are successful with building the team concept of it, you know. So I do not buy into the rating of the Buccaneers. I believe you could get San Francisco into the Super Bowl, but I don't think Kansas City's I definitely don't see. I believe Baltimore's going to make it.
Oh, and we'll we'll go there with the AFC odds being updated. Kansas City's a favorite over Baltimore. I'm gonna say the one team that I think everybody may have forgotten about, that everybody should pay attention to, needs to be the Miami Dolphins, because they could easily slide right in and take that out. And with them being a plus 1,200, it's an easy shot. And I'll just do the math real quick. Drop $1 down, bro, you're winning $13. So I think that is.
I don't necessarily think that's far from off, but if you literally flip Baltimore and Kansas City, I buy into the closeness of those two teams. I believe I believe the Miami Dolphins are probably a top 4 or 5 team from that perspective, in my opinion.
I just don't see Baltimore having enough to get it done. And I mean, we've seen it year after year, and I guess history speaks for itself, but I don't see it happening. Now, when we flip over to the AFC, San Fran is damn near.
That is way too much of a gap.
Yeah, they're being damn near handed the NFC Championship. But you got Detroit sneaking up right behind after a very, I'm going to say, a solid draft. You know, they're within my top 5 teams in the NFL that had a good draft. You know, we've seen what they did, what they were putting together last year. We watched them, you know, advance to the NFC Championship after us. Now, again, you go to us, 3,000. It's a 3,000% underdog. So,
I mean, you call me biased. That's fair, completely fair. I mean, I've got it tattooed on my chest. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that is a horrible job, because for one, I'm not even talking about the Bucs yet. You've got the Detroit Lions at 550.
Yeah.
No way in hell. Bad. That's man. I might go put money on them just because.
Just because.
Like, that's a bad. Because to me, they should. Even if you got San Francisco at 240 plus 240, okay. I think you're looking, from my perspective, in my opinion. Let's go 350 for Detroit. Okay, and I could see 500-ish, maybe to 800-ish on the Bucs. And that's just because of my support on what I believe in them. I believe this team. The question marks are on defense for me, as opposed to the offense. Even with the new system coming in, it's about the talent more so, because the defense changed a little bit more than the offense. But we've got core guys: Vita Vea, we've got Antoine Winfield Jr., Jamel Dean, Levante David.
Well, the fact that
Will Golston.
The fact that
Jordan Whitehead.
You can't call Jordan Whitehead a core guy.
He's a vet.
Jordan Whitehead is not a core guy, though.
No, he's a vet.
Jordan Whitehead, but again, hear how you worded it. We got core guys, and then he threw.
Well, he's only gone for 2 years. Why wouldn't he be a core guy? Because I believe he never should have left. That's the skill he had.
No, he shouldn't have left. We ain't even got to argue that. It would be wasting our breath.
Right.
He shouldn't have left, but he wasn't. He wasn't the core guy at that moment.
Fair enough. I mean, I'll give you that.
Because
but I believe his veteran presence is what's going to replace the ideology of that term. Because he's been around in the league for what, 5 years?
He's been around for. He's been around for
7 years.
Something
7
like
years.
that.
Yeah, I think 7 years. Because he was with Jets 2 years, right?
He was with them for a couple, and I do believe. No, I wouldn't. No, that was somebody else. But I was gonna say, I do believe he was somewhere else. He went to Cleveland, but that
Well,
was another
for
one.
this right here, I really am going to take the time to go check the rest of these odds out on the rest of these teams because I'm very interested to see what the rest of them look like.
Well, for when you drop down to the AFC, look at it now. The Atlanta Falcons have somehow found a way to jump into the lead to be the only. I'm going to say this again. To be the only NFL team under the division tab to be a favorite to win the division. Now, call me biased, but how is it? And I'm going to say it really seems like it was after the Michael Penix draft pick that they decided they wanted to include this because
Right.
I had made the bet for us to win the division, the NFC title, and even the Super Bowl. And at the time that I had made these picks, Kirk Cousins was already being overpaid by the Falcons. So, with them going from third to now first and being the best, and I can't even really call them third because they were like neck and neck with New Orleans.
I believe they were a better team.
Yeah, like
they just had a shitty quarterback and a horrible coach.
Yeah, like they were neck and neck with New Orleans for second place, and there was still like a 200 and a plus 220 between us and second place. So for this right here, and it's crazy because our odds at this moment are still the same. That is what I bet was when we had a plus 300.
Right.
So that tells you how Vegas is looking at Atlanta ever since that pick.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to continue and keep that pick because I do think that Atlanta is not winning the division. Atlanta might be a wild card team, but I think right now they're going to see that Kirk Cousins isn't that guy and Michael Penix isn't ready.
Well, can I get basic on you? I'm going to get basic on this. All right. When a team or an entity or a person wins a championship in a league of other combatants, whatever the sport is or the competition is, the champion is the champion until the champion is dethroned, right?
Yeah.
And usually, that's the way it stays. Now, we not only won the NFC South last year, we didn't only win it the year before. We didn't only just win it the year before that. In the year before that, we won a wild card and won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really think that the personally, I think it falls in line through history. You've seen it as a Bucs fan. We get no love in the Bay, baby. We get no love, and I'm okay with that because they need to poster board that shit up in the locker room to fuel these guys. Doubt.
You can't really yeah, but 2 years removed from Brady, we're still getting coverage. We're still getting that. I mean, the only difference is with
the respect.
Yeah, the only reason we had that respect, and we'll call it what it is, bro. The only reason the media even gave us the fucking respect, the only reason that we have the influx of fans the way we have, was Tom Brady.
Yeah, but guys like Chris Godwin, like Mike Evans, like Levante David, like Shaq Barrett, like all these guys are not getting the recognition they need because of the same thing I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm talking about, not necessarily the views per se.
Well, let's go ahead and jump over to our Powerbomb section.
Yes. Because it's Monday.
Yes, sir. And you know what that means.
That means not only Raw, but night 2 of the draft.
Yeah. Now, before we even get to any of that, it was announced today from Peacock that they're going to start increasing their prices beginning August 17th of this year. But here's the kicker. It is the first price increase in 4 years, 5 years. But from August 17th until December 31st, that price increase goes up $2 each month. Now, maybe when it was reported, the wording was put out incorrectly.
It was put out for $2.
But if that is the case, and it does increase $2 each month, I'm gonna go ahead and call it now. That is Peacock trying to get every bit of business they can out of the WWE and all of their products right now before it goes over to Netflix. And I'd talked to somebody and gone back and forth earlier with somebody.
I agree.
Yes, when Netflix takes on WWE in 2025, it is only Raw. But what people need to realize is things like NXT and SmackDown and the Peacock library itself. All of that property rights ends June of 2025.
Yep.
So just because they still have part of it for a couple months does not mean that they get to keep it, because once that time frame happens, if no contract is renewed, I can see Netflix taking over that type of library.
They will take that over.
Like
Netflix is trying to take over the on-demand streaming genre right now.
Netflix is trying to take over a lot. They're going to start hitting this live stream. Just wait. You got the Jake Paul fight happening on Netflix. You got Raw popping up in January on Netflix. You really think they ain't gonna take over and take SmackDown and take NXT if it keeps improving?
Yeah, you're right.
Especially if they can find a way to do it with commercial free.
Yeah.
Or you take those commercials and you flip them over to a WWE based ad.
Yeah.
Pushing whatever products they got going at that moment, whether it be American vodka.
It's your business. Yeah, like, it's your business doing that. I mean, like that's you're nailing it, dude. Honestly, I can't. And honestly, when I read an article a couple of weeks ago about the Peacock deal ending, and what was to happen, and that was one of the things I was like, I didn't predict the money increase, honestly, on this short term, but at the same time, I predicted that they would end up losing the rights to them eventually, especially with the TKO takeover combination with the WWE and them having this deal with Netflix. It is writing on the wall.
Yeah. Well, and
I love it. I love it. Because this is going to be right now. If you watch this for football, you need to start watching wrestling too. It's the perfect time. If you like combat entertainment, yes.
Well, and there's something to be said when it comes to Netflix, and I think they're trying to get into combatives. So if that can happen, bro, Netflix is going to change the game when it comes to all this. I just don't think a lot of people realize it. They realize how stale they're getting, and the only way to improve their product is to give us better product. What better way to do that than to start doing live TV?
Yeah, right.
You get everything in one. Now, talking about everything in one, Kevin Nash was on his podcast earlier, and when they were talking about the AEW incident, between showing the fallout or the footage from the All In, and even going as far as last week to having Jack Perry attack him and get, we're going to call it what it is for real, a Meltzer driver. He had said that he is not interested in seeing where this angle goes, much less if it continues. by stating, I don't want to see what it does unless it involves Tony Khan firing them. Them, including the Young Bucks, Matt, Nick Jackson, and I do believe also Jack Perry. What are your thoughts to it?
I mean, first off, I think it was in the script, as my dad used to say. You know, it's not something that was, I believe, that was a shock. I believe
Yeah.
it's kayfabe, at its fullest. Look at what we saw as WWE fans. Like, why do you think Stone Cold was so popular? Because you, me, your daddy, your uncle, and your great grandpa could relate to the man that was portraying that character, because he was taking on the man, and he did it in every way. And it was like that fight for the little guy mentality. So. And that, what it did, it skyrocketed numbers and ratings and money and merchandise sales and all this stuff, because they did this. So don't get it twisted. It was not an off script incident. But I also don't necessarily think that they should be fired regardless.
Well, and I understand where Kevin Nash is coming out with this, and firing them, because
I think they run too much. They have too much say over there.
You kind of get that when you're the EVP.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing that was going on with Cody, except Cody didn't use the exposure in that way.
Yes.
Now, the issue I got with it is it may have been storylined, and I know Tony Khan, initially said, "Well, I'm not going to be involved. I'm not going to be a character."
Right.
Bro, it's a matter of time. I feel they're kind of taking. I think they're taking we're an alternative to wrestling, and I just don't think they give a shit. I think if you were to give, and I do believe if you were to give Ring of Honor a TV deal like they used to have, if you gave TNA, which if you gave them another TV deal, even though they're ran by Tony Khan, if you were to give New Japan a TV deal here in America, and available for people to be able to pay attention, like watch it the way we do, everything else. If you were to involve that, I do believe that AEW would not exist. We wouldn't need a contemporary. Nobody would need them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what Tony and them need to do is stop chasing, wanting to beat WWE, because you want to beat your competitor. But it's like the New Orleans Saints, bro. As much as they want to claim we're not rivals, our names are in your mouth as much as our is.
Cam Jordan.
and that's the thing, man. Like, you're so far down in the basement right now, and yes, both shows have been showing a little bit of decline here and there. But name another company besides WWE, and even hell, bro, if you had New Japan in America, that company could probably push the same type of numbers. I don't know
without a question.
Without a question, with the notoriety that they have. But you name another entity that could put numbers in an arena like that. And until you can consistently do that and consistently give people a good product, nobody's going to give a fuck about you.
WWE went across the world to another country and broke the attendance record.
Well, and yes, AEW has done that as well when they went to London.
They do it all the time, is my point.
But see, and this is the thing, though. AEW,
they set their standard all the time.
They are, and I understand that. And this is where I'm going with it.
Right.
When AEW went to London and they hit the largest international gate that has been done in that arena.
Mhm.
They should have been able to take that and build on it and say, you know what? I want to go and put hell, you know what, man? I'll give an example of music. We went and seen EDM artist Sullivan King, bro. When I hear about these guys selling out things like the Civic Center or the Kia Forum, things like, I mean, these prominent places that you see packed for basketball games, stuff like that, or bigger named artists. If you can't put asses in seats like that and put on a consistent product, man, ain't nobody gonna show up. Yeah, in the beginning, everybody wanted to see what AEW was about, me included.
Right.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was fresh, it was new, it was a cool concept. And then all of a sudden, it was, oh, okay, well, we got all these ex-WWE guys who like their creative and are saying all these cool things. Oh, okay, that's cool. Let's keep signing them. That's all it is to me.
Yeah.
Now, moving on
You're not
from
wrong.
that, we're going to go positive on something. SummerSlam tickets were announced to go on sale Thursday, May 9th in Cleveland.
Oh.
Bro, I'm just going to say it now. That's going to be a hell of a show.
SummerSlam's going to be awesome.
SummerSlam's going to be lit. So, May 9th, tickets are on sale. The show happens, I do believe they said it was August 27th. Oh, Intercontinental Championship tonight between Sami Zayn and Big Bronson Reed.
Okay. Okay, Bronson Reed. Ooh.
So,
Could it be the night?
it might be tonight.
Ooh.
Leading it, talking about that as well. The draft continues. Raw
Ooh, yeah.
does have the first pick of the draft. Do you see anything special, or who do you think's getting drafted first?
Did Bailey go to Raw?
No.
She went to SmackDown. Okay.
Champions are protected. Champions cannot move from the brands.
That they're already on. Okay, cool. In that case, like I honestly I believe there's a surprise signing, a return, like you said the other night. I'm not sure if it's a return or a surprise signing. I believe one of those two will happen tonight. And it could be Jacob Fatu. You know, it could be the appearance of Jacob Fatu. I believe that might be a little bit further out than right now. But it could be tonight, you know.
Jacob Fatu is potentially going to be popping up. I don't know about tonight, but he is slated to be showing up this week. I know they had stated it was going to be happening last week. I'm not 100% on the reasoning on what pushed it back, but they are slating it for this, this week coming up.
If that being said, I don't necessarily think he would show up tonight because I believe he's going to be with the Bloodline, which is on SmackDown.
Yeah, well, Bloodline also has issues with Jey Uso. Jimmy might be out, but who's to say they ain't coming to see Jey?
You're not wrong at all. Because look, you can never tell which side of the family one member lies on, until you hear what they got to say, or see what they got to do. But I believe there's a surprise signing or announcement, via a signing or a return from, and I'm not talking from an injury. I'm talking a wrestler that ain't been here in a while. As an example, just throwing out to give you the understanding, Zack Ryder, as an example.
Zack Ryder is dead. Matt Cardona lives forever.
Fair enough.
That is the
Fair
quote
enough.
from the
I
man. That is
stand
a quote from the
corrected.
man himself.
I stand corrected. I stand corrected.
I could see Matt Cardona coming around
Eventually, I do.
eventually, especially with
Right
his
now,
wife
I think
being
he's
in the
still. I
company.
think he's enjoying it.
Well, he's even stated that, man. Like he wouldn't pop up right now. One, he still holds independent gold that WWE would have to either honor or he'd have to get rid of.
Yeah.
Now, when he came back, he would have to come back as a Matt Cardona, give him creative. With the new regime, I do not rule that out.
Absolutely.
Now, one
Absolutely.
thing we know for sure is happening tonight is the appearance of our United States champion, the Maverick Logan Paul. Hey,
Love it when he comes around.
and just to announce, man, that Logan, whose fiance is also pregnant at the same time that we're expecting ours. After I had found out that we were having a boy, Logan had found out he is having a girl. So, shout out, hey,
Congratulations to Logan Paul.
yeah, I was gonna say congrats to Logan for his having a girl, and all I can say is I know how that feels.
Start saving money now. They're more expensive.
Yeah, Logan needs to worry about money. All that, man, fuck that. All he's got to do is go put up a goddamn YouTube video and he'll end up getting money off of that. Another interesting thing popping up outside of Bronson Reed and Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship is Andrade, Ricochet, and Jey Uso are slated to tag and take on the Judgment Day. How do you see this going?
I see the Judgment Day shattering really hard fast. Did you see the tweet JD McDonough last week? He called the guys out without calling the guys out, in my opinion. And I think since Mommy left, I think the backbone from the group is gone. And I believe that Andrade, Ricochet, and Jey Uso light the fire with the Judgment Day if this match happens.
Well, and we'll talk about it as well. Damian was also telling both Dom and McDonough that he don't need anybody; they need him.
Yeah, I heard that.
That's gonna be that's gonna be fun to see the implosion because it's been in the works for a while, and
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel, but Mommy is the reason that it didn't happen.
Mommy is the glue, and she ain't here, and probably ain't gonna be here for a little while, a couple months.
Yeah, it's gonna be a minute. But,
2 to 3 months, 4 months maybe.
She'll be back by SummerSlam.
SummerSlam, yeah, that's what I was thinking. She'd definitely be back by SummerSlam. Whether
Well,
she shows up SummerSlam and makes an appearance, and I believe that's how they should do it. Honestly, if she's back a month before, don't bring her right back. Make it impactful and use that to make SummerSlam even that much better.
yeah, don't tell me she's coming back. Just make it
at a good time.
That's all we got for the show, man. Any final thoughts?
The drafts for both WWE and NFL were pretty cool this year. The NFL lit it up. I believe the NFL deserves a B+ to A- rating for their production of the NFL draft altogether. I believe ESPN and NFL Network did a fairly decent job covering it and giving as much insight as you can go. Whether you want to buy into it or not, you still got to hear it and you get familiar with the player regardless. So that's a benefit to people that really enjoy the game as a whole. And the WWE draft, look, again, it's just signs of what's to come, and people like you and me and people that have been watching wrestling for so long, they get that.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think the NFL draft knocked the shit out of the park. It's cool to know that shit's for free. It's good to know. Now, when it comes to WWE draft. Just all I can say is you'll get a return. It's not the one you're expecting, though. That's all I'm gonna say. So just stay tuned for that.
Fair enough.
We'll see you Friday at 7 p.m.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it. Until then, everybody have a fantastic freaking week. And this is Derek Manic Buck out.
We're out.